Ultimatums. Those stark declarations, those pressure cooker moments where one person attempts to force another into a corner. They often come wrapped in a guise of urgency or concern, but underneath, they're a power play, a demand for conformity. And while the person delivering the ultimatum may believe they've outlined the only two paths forward, they often overlook a third, much more powerful option: walking away. Normally, the person giving the ultimatum only gives you two options, and they both serve that person. It's this or that, they declare, painting a landscape of limited choices. My way or the highway. They are generally do as I say, or do what I want. And in the heat of the moment, it's easy to feel trapped, as if forced to choose between two undesirable outcomes. But what happens when you realize that neither option truly serves you? What happens when the most fulfilling path lies not in choosing their terms, but in choosing yourself? The truth is, an ultimatum is rarely a sign of healthy communication or mutual respect. It's a tool used to manipulate, to control, to exert dominance. It bypasses the need for open dialogue and compromise, substituting it with a rigid demand. And when someone feels cornered, resentment and resistance are natural reactions. Personally, I find ultimatums a little tyrannical, for lack of a better term. The fact that you have a person standing in front of you who may very well love and care about you, telling you that you have options, however, they are only listed out by what they want and what benefits them. They lay down some threshold that you must cross to prove your love or to prove your loyalty. Sadly, they are also a bit funny, as the one delivering the ultimatum doesn't realize that there's a whole other person involved in making that decision. That other person has a choice. And that choice may not be one of the options listed. In fact, they could always choose themselves rather than the options that were laid out in front of them. This is where the power of self-respect comes into play. When you value your own well-being, your own happiness, and your own principles, you stop accepting being boxed in by someone else's narrow view of the world. You realize that you are not bound by their terms. That ultimatum, while intended to be a cage, suddenly becomes a catalyst. The beauty, the rebellious joy even, lies in the unexpectedness of choosing oneself. The person delivering the ultimatum, brave in that moment by their perceived power, rarely anticipates this possibility. They believe they have all the leverage, that you are obligated to their desires. But by choosing to walk away, you dismantle their control. You expose the very fragility of their position and reclaim your agency. Walking away isn't about arrogance. It's about empowerment. It's about recognizing that a relationship, be it romantic, platonic, or familial, should be built on mutual respect and consideration, not on coercion. It's about understanding that your happiness and well-being matter as much as theirs. This isn't to say that leaving is always the easiest option. It can be incredibly challenging, even heartbreaking. But sometimes the pain of walking away is far less than the pain of sacrificing your own values and needs. It's a courageous act of self-preservation, a bold declaration of I am worthy of more than this. So, to anyone facing an ultimatum, remember this: you are not limited to their prescribed choices. Don't let them paint you into a corner. There is always a third option, an option that may not be readily apparent. It's the option of choosing yourself, of walking away with dignity and self-respect, knowing you embraced your own freedom rather than accepting someone else's restrictions. And that, ultimately, is the most powerful choice you can make.